Hey guys, LQ here with the LQ review, and this is my review for Shazam. That's right, DC's newest movie in the DCEU just came out this weekend. Shazam stars Zachary Levi as Shazam. We don't call him Captain Marvel anymore. He's Shazam, and that's okay. So Zachary Levi is Shazam, and then you've got Mark Strong as the villain, Dr. Thaddeus Savannah. So it involves young Billy Batson, who's probably about 14 years old. I think they said he was 14, 15. He comes across, well, first of all, he ends up in a foster home. He's out searching for his mom, can't find her. He lost her when he was really little, and he's out searching for her, and he ends up getting put into a foster home. And he ends up sticking up for one of his foster brothers who has a disability. And while he's evading some pursuers, he ends up being taken to the Rock of Eternity, where he meets the wizard that then grants him the powers of Shazam. So now he's a superhero. So all he has to do is say the word Shazam, and boom, this 14-year-old kid is now a superhero in an adult body with superpowers that are very Superman-like, right? Super strength, flight, invulnerability. Instead of heat vision, he's got lightning powers, but very Superman-like powers. And so he ends up having to kind of reconcile his powers with his friend, who's his foster brother, who is also a big fan of superheroes. This is set in the DC universe, so Superman is real, Batman is real, the Justice League is real. All these characters in the DC universe actually exist. So you've got a fanboy who's a fanboy to real comic book characters, real superheroes. And he's able to teach Billy Batson how to become a superhero. And obviously that leads to conflict. So this is a fantastic little movie. Very well written, very well directed, very funny. It's very much in the vein of Big meets superhero. Tom Hanks' Big meets superhero. There's even a nice little reference to Big in the movie that I won't spoil. But you see it and you're like, they know what this is. So let's talk about some of the good stuff in the movie. I'll talk about the good and then I'll talk about the bad. So the good, obviously Zach Levi is great in this. He brings great comedic timing. He definitely kind of embodies a superhero. I think a lot of us were nervous that he didn't really have that superhero physique, that superhero presence, but he does. You know, he embodies that superhero, but he also brings great comedic timing and something that he needed in this role. Whoever they cast in Shazam needed this. A childlike innocence, a childlike wonder, and Zachary Levi did that great. He had that he was able to sell, I'm actually 15 years old, all day long, and it worked. And that was vital to this movie and vital to this character, that he was able to sell that he was a little kid in a superhero body. Zachary Levi was great. Mark Strong played the villain, Dr. Thaddeus Savannah. And it's about time that Mark Strong got a comic book role that he's able to sink his teeth into, right? He was Sinestro in Green Lantern, and that movie didn't go anywhere. He played in the Kingsman movies, and we're getting a Kingsman 3, but overall I just don't feel like the Kingsman movies are doing a whole lot now. So it's great to see Mark Strong in this comic book role that I think he's going to be able to reprise several times over. So that's great. He brings a real villainous edge to him that the movie overall doesn't necessarily have. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But one thing that I did like that he brought with him was the 7 deadly sins. If you've read any of the Pandora, if you've read The Phantom Stranger, if you've read Trinity of Sin, Constantine, you know about the 7 deadly sins. And I never thought that I would see the 7 deadly sins personified in a movie, the way that DC Comics personifies them in the books. And we got it, and it was great. I was just sitting here geeking out. I was like, that looks just like they did in the comics. I can't believe that they did this. So that was great. That was a lot of fun to see play out. I'm actually hoping that we get Pandora in the next movie, because Pandora is closely tied to the 7 deadly sins. I would love to see her in the next movie. The kid cast, the foster brothers and sisters were great. These kids were entertaining, they were funny, they had a lot of heart, and that's something that you're going to hear a lot about this movie. Is this movie has a lot of heart, and it all centers around the foster family. But these kids bring a lot of heart and genuineness to the movie, especially Jack Dylan Grazer, who plays the best friend. The disabled kid who's a big superhero fan. He is they even refer to him as Shazam's manager, which is really cute and a lot and really funny. So to see his arc throughout the movie go from excitement to jealousy to where he ended up at the end, good character, and the kids definitely sold it. And then finally, Cooper Andrews. I didn't even know Cooper Andrews was in this movie. Yeah, Cooper plays Jerry in The Walking Dead, and he was great in this movie. He brought a real genuineness to the foster family. So often in these movies, foster families are seen as a negative, and the foster parents are seen as bad, right? This movie, the foster family, was the strength of the movie, and I adored that. As somebody who had foster siblings growing up, my parents did the whole foster thing. I love the fact that this was a foster family that was portrayed in a positive light, and it was because of the genuineness that Cooper Andrews brought to this role. This is a family that loves these kids, and they're doing it because they love the kids, and that was great. And Cooper Andrews was the perfect person to choose for this. All right, let's talk about some of the bad. So then there was some bad in this movie. There was a lot of DCEU references, which in of itself isn't a bad thing. You know, Superman was referenced a lot. Batman was referenced a lot. There was even a funny reference to Aquaman. I can't really remember any Wonder Woman references. It seems like there was a Wonder Woman reference or two, but Superman and Batman was referenced a lot. And this was a movie that tried to be very standalone. So it felt sometimes jarring to be in this movie that was super standalone, and then to have references popped in there constantly. It definitely felt jarring to me. I don't mind the references, but if you're going to have that many references, create a little more connectivity. But they didn't do that. There was a ton of references to the DCEU, but no connectivity. So that kind of bothered me a little bit, and that's probably a small little gripe. And then, let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, yes, the tone of this movie. The tone of this movie was like, it's a kid's movie, right? You walk in, you're like, this is a kid's movie. And it's billed as a kid's movie, and for the most part, this is a kid's movie. But man, for a kid's movie, there's some heavy stuff in it. The 7 deadly sins are scary when they're on the screen. Not to me, but to a little kid, they're going to be scary. They're going to be heavy things to deal with. There's a boardroom scene that involves the 7 deadly sins that's going to be heavy for a kid to deal with. The opening scene with young Thaddeus Savannah, that's going to be some heavy stuff to deal with. So this is very much a kid's movie in the sense that they've made it kid-friendly. It's a movie for everybody, kids to adults. Adults are going to enjoy this. I'm a comic book fan, obviously. I enjoyed the crap out of this movie. But they made it kid-friendly, and they advertised it as being a family superhero movie. That was part of their advertising. They wanted people to believe this was a family superhero movie, which it is. For the most part, it is. But there's some heavy stuff in this. Especially when you think about the 7 deadly sins. There's heavy stuff. So I would just suggest to parents with little kids, maybe you go see Shazam before you take your little kids to see it, because there's some heavy stuff in this, for sure. So, overall though, good movie. Good movie. It's one of the top DCEU movies. Honestly, I would put it in the top echelon of MCU movies. I mean, it's not better than Infinity War. It's not better than Winter Soldier. It's not better than the first Avengers. But it would be in that top echelon of MCU movies. But this isn't an MCU movie. This is a DCEU movie, and it's definitely one of the better of the DC Universe movies. So, definitely a thumbs up from me. Big smiley face. What did you think? Did you see Shazam? Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button so you can follow all the other content that I put out. And as always, thank you for being here at the LQ Review, where we talk about all the geeky and all the nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, thanks a lot.